Now we're on. Hey, everybody. Mitch Ribak here with eXp Realty. I'm with a really good friend of mine, Shon Kokoszka. I always pronounce your name wrong. Kokoszka? Kokoszka. I always pronounce your name wrong. Such a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's mine is Ribak.
Ribak. Either. So yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. It's a good Irish name. Anyways, just a little bit on Shon. I'm going to read this because I couldn't have memorized all this stuff if I wanted, Shon. I'm so impressed with your resume. You sold over 4,000 homes, over $1 billion in sale volume. I thought I was pretty big at almost 1,000 homes, so you beat me there. I built a land development company, a home building company, a mortgage company, a title company, and now you have the Icon Coaching, which, by the way, that is an amazing thing, and several of my agents have signed up for that now. I was talking to a bunch of them this week about it when we talked. He was president of Keller Williams MAPS Coaching and MAPS Business Training, and has coached many of the top producing agents around the country. You were part of and collaborated in The One Thing, which I didn't know that, by the way. That's a great book. If you haven't read The One Thing, you got to read that book. It's great.
Definitely. Great book.
Oh, it's great. And he's just a master coach and a master great guy. So welcome aboard, Shon. It's really great to have you here at eXp.
Mitch, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, bud.
Absolutely. So we're going to keep this brief because, I'm an ADD guy. So It's the only way to be. So we're going to just get to a few questions that I've been wanting to ask you. Obviously, the first one is why did you make the move? You're an icon at KW, and you went from KW to eXp. What was your reason?
The model. I mean, the model simply is the most disruptive model I've ever seen. Now, I've been doing this 29 years, okay? And this is the most disruptive, biggest opportunity model that has ever existed in real estate of all time. And I don't say that lightly. I investigated this model for an extended period of time. In fact, I had just kind of shut my mind to it. Frankly, it was due to my ego. Yet once I got over my ego and once a trusted friend reached out to me and said, Shon, you're really missing the boat. Please just investigate it. What's it going to hurt? Just check it out. I mean, this is a really disruptive model. Perhaps you'll learn something. Right. So I decided, okay, let's go ahead and invest some time in every, frankly, this is a strong word, lie that I had bought into earlier on was disbanded. It was debunked through my investigation. I investigated 4 revenue share teams within the organization, and I saw just how easy this model is to build and how disruptive it is to the traditional brick and mortar companies out there. As I see it, the Realogies of the world, the Remaxes, and all those other big box companies, they're kind of like the Blockbuster model back in the day. When a cloud-based company, Netflix, comes in and puts 10,000 stores out of business, what felt like overnight. And so that's what I see eXp being. They are the Netflix of the real estate industry. And I want to be with the most edgy, most disruptive model with the most opportunity, by the way.
Right. And then, that was, we made the switch over with, we moved over with 40 agents in June of 2017. We were the first big brokerage to make the move, and it was scary as heck. KW had offered me $600,000 cash and 10% of their market center here to do it. And I really looked at both models side by side, and I said, $600,000 cash is a nice chunk of change, but what I can do with eXp, there's just no comparison for my agents and for my family. I agree.
Let me share with you what really got me over the edge. It's the revenue share model, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, Mitch. I know we didn't talk about this, so surprise, but I want to walk you through this. This outlines the full cap model and what agents are compensated through the 7 levels of revenue share. Okay, there's some other nuances. For example, 1 to 4 agents, you only are compensated on level 1 within your organization. Once you hit 5 agents in your front line, you are then opening and unlocking level 2. Once you hit 10, level 3, so on and so forth. Then there's a big gap between level 6 and level 7. And at level 7, you're compensated up to $4,000 per agent. So you've got to have 40 plus agents in your front line in order to get access to level 7 revenue. Okay. Now we know not all agents are going to be capping agents yet. Since eXp, now hear this, they are a revenue share model versus a profit share model. Now they're able to offer revenue share because they don't have all the traditional heavy expenses of a traditional brick and mortar company, okay? So it's really simple math, all right? So this pro forma outlines that agents will reach the cap status of 55% or make about $42,000 per year. So when we apply the cap percentage, rather than making $2,800 per agent per year, you'd make $1,540, and you can see how that trends down through all 7 levels of the organization. Now with the 4 different revenue share teams that I studied, they're all trending right at about 10% per month growth rate, meaning you can't stop it. It's growing. It's taken a life of its own. You couldn't stop it from growing if you wanted it to. Okay, so 10% per month. So then I started playing around with this. And by the way, this represents my true and actual numbers through October here. So I started August 1st. I took 2-week-long vacations in August, and I ended with 7 agents in my front line. September, I kind of figured out what I was doing. I ended at 27. End of October, I was just over 40, actually. End of November, I want to get to 50, and I'm just going to stay there. Okay. Now, you can see what happens organically with that 10% per month growth. I'll end this year with 73 agents, or about 30 grand in rev share. Not anything to write home about, right? Year 2, though, you can start to see how the power of multiplication kicks in. I'll end with about 256 agents, or around 236,000 in wake up money. All I have to do to earn that is wake up.
Yep, mailbox money. Yep, love it.
Year 3, 868 agents, about 815,000. Year 4, 2683 agents and 2.6 million. Year 5, 78 agents and over $7.5 million in revenue share. By the way, Gene Frederick, who left Keller Williams 4 years and 3 months ago, he's trending double that number after 4 years. He's trending at over $5 million in revenue share. So when you ask me why, well, that's one of the reasons. Now, money's not everything. Of course, the company offers so many other added values and benefits. They offer probably 10 times the training of your traditional brokerage. I mean, 40 hours of training offered inside the eXp world every single week. Not only do you get production bonuses and stock equity, I mean, ownership in your brokerage based on your production. You have an opportunity to cap and earn your cap back in the form of eXp stock. And man, there's just so many values. And the way that this model had been thought through, I thought it would be financially irresponsible of me not to join forces with eXp. And again, money's good for the good it can do. And guys, we can do a lot of good things with a lot of money. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, it's one of the things interesting is, I hear, well, your recruiting model. But first and foremost,
wait a minute. Which brokerage is it? I'm curious.
Right. Yeah. Actually, several brokerages around here are having meetings about why you shouldn't talk to Mitch, which is really fun. I love it. And it's kind of funny because I look at this from an agent standpoint, and I grew Tropical Realty from 6 agents to 120 agents. And I literally didn't go out there and recruit. My agents loved the business model, and they introduced people to the company. Sure. So people call it a recruiting model, but I don't know. I'm up to 470 people, and after 28 months, and I literally spend 1 or 2 hours a week talking to people. It's not rocket science. It's not hard because it's a really good real estate company and a phenomenal opportunity for the average agent to create some sort of wealth. Because let's face it, you've trained a lot of agents. I've trained a lot of agents. Most agents have no security, nothing to fall back on if something happens, right?
No, in fact, it's been said that most realtors don't retire, they just die.
Right.
And yet when you align with a model that allows you to derive compensation based on the production of others, see, there's 2 ways to think about income, okay? There's transactional income, and trust me, you can make a lot of money selling real estate. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that, okay? Yet if you truly want to create what I call generational wealth, the type of money that's not only going to impact you, your kids, your grandkids, I'm talking about like your great-grandkids, your great-great-grandkids, then you've got to align with a model that allows you to receive residual passive income based on the production of others. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do that in real estate. Number 1, you can build a team. Trust me, been there, done that, and I coach a lot of people to make that happen, and it's relatively difficult, okay? No doubt about that. You could start your own brokerage and start attracting agents yourself, recruiting agents to your brokerage, and start making money. Yet, the traditional brokerage model, guys, it's broken. I was talking to Rick Jiha at an event in Las Vegas in August, and he said this. He said, Shon, I personally coach 6 RE/MAX franchise owners, one of which is making a very modest profit per year. The other 5 are supporting the expenses associated with the brokerage just to keep the doors open with the commission dollars from their personal production. Guys, the traditional brokerage, brick and mortar, it's broken. They can't afford to revenue share, yet eXp, it's part of their corporate bylaws. They filed a document with the SEC, with NASDAQ, which are publicly traded on, that they share 50% of the revenue received back to the agents that help them grow. So guys, if you're associated with a brokerage, you're already part of a revenue share team. You're just on the wrong end of that stick. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that because Gene Frederick was a big influence in me coming over. I love him. Great guy. And I flew out to Austin to meet with him. And he pulls out, I don't know if you ever see, pulls out his napkins and starts doing all this stuff.
Sure.
And what got me was from a franchise standpoint, which I thought was the most interesting of everything. So it was actually the final button that made me come over. They were all built on a revenue share model.
Oh yeah.
The agents are at the bottom of the rung, not getting any of that revenue. The team leaders get it. The franchisors get it. The regions get it. The international companies get it, and it's all in the backs of us.
100%. 100%. And I worked for Remax for years, and I made Dave Liniger a lot of money. Okay. I worked with Keller Williams for years, and I made Keller Williams a lot of money. And at the same time, if I were an agent not with eXp, here's one of the questions of two that I would really contemplate deeply. Number one, how much stock, how much equity, how much ownership do you have within your existing brokerage? I'd venture to guess the answer is probably zero. And you're making them rich in the process. Okay, second question. Does your brokerage offer a model that allows you to receive compensation based on the production of those you can help grow their brokerage by getting them to align with that brokerage? Do they offer you that model, that opportunity to create wake-up money? See, the attrition rate, Mitch, in real estate today, in the first 2 years is over 80%. I think that's terribly sad. And the reason that they're forced out of our industry, because if you have 2 or 3 bad commission months in a row, well, then you have to leave. You got to go get a real job, a 9-to-5 job with every intention to come back to real estate. And sadly, it rarely, if ever, happens, right? So if they'd only received revenue share, let me show you how easy, guys, this is to obtain a significant amount of money in revenue share. Let's just say that you attracted 5 agents. And by the way, Mitch is here to help you do that. I'm here to help you do that. If you just attracted 5, who in turn go out and attract 5 to enter your second level of the organization. Now, on your front level, you're compensated up to $2,800 for capping agents. Let's assume they cap. Okay, that would be $14,000 on your front line. Now, the 25 in your second line, you're compensated up to $3,200. That's $80,000 plus the $14,000. It's $94,000. Guys, for most people, that's a bit of a game changer. Now, I mean, you can't live on it. It's a pretty good start, though, right, Mitch?
It's great. It's funny because I tell people, look, even a couple people a year, introducing them to the company is a game changer. What's an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month do for the average realtor? You don't have a closing this month, but you make $3,000. That's enough to pay your mortgage, usually your car payments, and actually eat, which is important. I read in a book. So it's and that's one of the things. When we made the switch over, I've always been on top. I didn't really worry about myself, and I turned down $3.5 million from Century 21 and $3.5 million from Remax, and then the $600,000 cash from KW, because ultimately, long term for my family, long term for my agents, and mainly my agents. I love my agents. It was a better deal. It was an opportunity that I couldn't give up. And in life, you get a couple of opportunities across your desk, right? And most of the time you don't look at them. You go, oh, that's kind of cool. Or like you said, my ego, I was president of the board. I was assistant vice president of the state the next year, 120 agents. I drive a nice car. I wear a nice suit. Nobody knew I was only making about $100,000 a year. Right? So to me, there's nothing better. I do want you to explain 2 more things for me before we get off the call today.
Sure.
One is, and I don't know this answer, so that's why I'm going to ask you, what is the difference? I know rev share, it's a top line expense. I know profit share is a bottom line expense. I understand that, but I don't understand really how profit share works. If you could maybe explain the difference.
Well, there's a lot of above line and below line expenses that I don't want to get into all the intricate details yet, but I think the point that needs to be understood is that profit share is distributed based on net profit. Okay, revenue share is distributed based on gross revenues derived from agents paying in toward their $16,000 cap at eXp. By the way, eXp is not a franchise model, so there is no royalty on top of the $16,000. It's a flat $16,000. And many agents I talk to, they say, "Whoa, you had me at $16,000. How do I sign up?"
Yeah, and then from I know you've done a lot with teams, and I've coached a lot of teams, which I love doing, because team model is definitely better than a broker model, as we know. what would you say to people who are thinking about it, building a team or expanding around the, expansion teams? I think that's all over the country having multiple teams, as far as, what you could do at KW versus what you could do here at eXp.
Yeah, sure. If you want to go specific to KW, and certainly nothing against KW, I absolutely love the organization. Just fantastic culture, great training, no doubt about it. Great people. Okay, so I do, if you're an expansion agent within that model, please recognize you're not only paying a cap at your current market center, you're paying a cap at the next market center that you expand into, then the next, then the next, then the next. And that cap starts to get really pricey, and it really stunts the growth of your organization. At eXp, you pay one cap, $16,000. You can be licensed in all 50 states, sell real estate in all 50 states, and you're only going to pay one cap of 16 grand. By the way, as you build a team, your teammates pay a half cap or $8,000. Once you get to 10 teammates, which is relatively easy to do in an expansion model, each of those expansion agents drop to a $4,000 per year cap. So what it does is it significantly reduces the financial burden on an agent who's entrepreneurial, who has the ability, the mindset, the charisma, and the pocketbook to expand nationally. It reduces the financial burden on that model significantly.
Cool. All right, so I have a friend of mine just walked in the door, and she's just switched over from KW, and she's a big fan.
Hello, Shon. What an honor. This is my first day on board with eXp Realty, and to meet Shon Kokoszka, knowing your background, your family background, I so respect you and your family and what you've done for the industry. And I'm so excited about the opportunity at eXp. I came on in 2012 with Keller Williams, and at that time, my previous background had been medical and pharmaceutical sales. So I was looking for a company that offered, my expectations were high, and I found a very good fit at Keller Williams. It's a wonderful company. But, when I ran into Mitch and I saw his presentation, which, by the way, was completely spontaneously, by mistake. I wasn't even supposed to be at that meeting.
She went to the wrong meeting.
I went to the wrong meeting.
Lucky.
I listened to this and I thought, oh my gosh, am I hearing what I'm hearing? And having been from the Keller Williams culture, it made perfect sense. It was like the newer model, if you will. Right. You know what I mean? It's like taking it further. And change is a constant. I have a science background. So me personally, I'm always looking on staying on cutting edge and keeping up with current trends so that you don't fall behind. You don't get antiquated. You have to keep pushing forward with where the industry's changing, or you will, go out like the dinosaurs. So, and again, listening to the presentation that Mitch gave that day and looking at the growth, he talked about the growth in the industry, and we looked at other brokerages' growth in the past and looked at where eXp is now. And it just a light bulb went off, and I was like, they're hitting exponential growth.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they are the fastest growing real estate brokerage. Now hear this, of all time, literally shattering records that were set by people like Dave Liniger back in the day, Gary Keller, so on and so forth, right? They are accomplishing things in a fraction of the time that the larger brokerages have. So the trend line is off the charts. It is a rocket ship. And those that get in early on this wave are going to receive the financial benefits, no doubt about it.
What a better place to take off in the rocket. We are in the Space Coast down here in Florida. So we completely understand launching. And I am so excited to be launching with Mitch and with you on board to eXp to help guide us with coaching. And of course, I hope everyone has read The One Thing, because that is something that everybody should read in the industry. And again, it is such a pleasure. I do have one question that I'd love to pose, and I have to read my notes here. So I know there has been a lot of misinformation about eXp that might be out there. So what would you say to those agents who aren't open to at least looking at the model?
Well, I think that first off, the reason that most agents are not with eXp yet is, number one, they've either not invested the time to truly investigate and understand that model, or they just don't know how mathematics work. I mean, really that simple. When they understand math, when they understand the model, they'll make the decision to come over here to eXp. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So I don't mean to sound brash or arrogant, yet guys, I bought into some of those lies. I bought into some of those whatever you want to call it, right? Not lies, but whatever you want to call it.
Objections.
And it wasn't until I truly investigated the model that I finally had the knowledge to make an educated and informed decision. Okay, a lot of different rumors out there.
One of those things that was in that presentation is, Lord forbid, what do you have to lose? That was where I was at when I was making my decision. I was like, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And Lord forbid, say it did turn out not to be a winning situation, which I completely believe it is, then you could always go back. But I am so excited because everything that I have heard and found and researched myself, it's a great decision to come on board. So thank you.
I agree with you. No doubt about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we did. It's funny when we made the switch over. Nobody had ever heard of eXp. There was 2,800 agents. I think we had a total of 50 in Florida. Right? And so my wife's like, I said to my wife, I go, so I'm thinking I'm going to give the company away. He's like, really, right? And I said, here's the deal. And I told her the opportunity. And I said, if I don't do this and it does what I think it's going to do, I'm going to regret it the rest of my life. If it does what I think it's going to do, I'm going to go retire in a few years. I go, and here's the worst case scenario. And I told this to my agents too. If we do this and then 6 months later we say this is the worst decision of my life, I just reopen Tropical Realty.
Yeah.
I could still go back to losing money. It was fun. It was easy.
Right. Well, you do lose the $149 application fee, which includes your $85 per month, technology.
That's true. That's true. John, I know you got appointments. I don't want to keep any more, but thank you so much for joining me today and chatting a little bit about why you switched over. Because I've admired you for a long time. You're a rock star, and I really appreciate you.
Well, back at you, Mitch, and thank you very much, Darcy. Nice to meet you, and thank you. Look forward to our next conversation. Take care, guys.
Yes, have a great day.
Take care.